This year our guest speaker is Silje Vallestad. Silje graduated from Atlantic College in 1997, after which she went on to start a number of idealistic projects and startups around the world. Silje was recognised as Norwegian Female Entrepreneur of the Year in 2011 and is a European ambassador for female entrepreneurship. She has also been named on the top 20 business thinkers in the Nordics. In 2013, Silje was named a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. This role she shares with people such as Mark Zuckerberg, Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, Marissa Mayer of Yahoo, Chelsea Clinton, Emil Clooney, and around 1,000 other young leaders in all areas globally. As the World Economic Forum puts it, a young global leader is a bold, brave and action-orientated entrepreneurial leader who decides to use their leadership talents to make the world a better place. Silje has a number of times stated clearly that her journey started here at AC. So can I introduce Silje to you now as our guest speaker?
Thank you so much for those kind words. It's emotional being back here. It's been 19 years. But this day is about the class of 2016. Congratulations, everyone. You made it. I'm sure it's been a few weeks of blood, sweat and tears and long nights and a lot of coffee. And a long night this last night as well, I assume, for some of you. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, faculty, staff, families. We didn't have families back in my days coming to see us off. And first years, now second years. I'm truly, truly honored to be here today. But I must also admit, to tell you one truth, that just a few days ago, I was wondering how on earth I could get out of doing this talk. It wasn't that I didn't want to come back here to this amazing place, the place that I called home, for 2 very, very important years of my life. This mini global bubble that embraces everything I love, the UWC spirit of hope, inclusion, passion, friendships, and dreams. The castle and the grounds that just take your breath away when you first arrive here, and did so again when I walked through the main gates yesterday. Do you guys remember the first time we came here? When it came through the main gates, and how you were like for weeks, even months perhaps, pinch yourselves as you were exploring the grounds in the castle. And then after a while, it just seemed natural to live in a castle, completely normal to walk around these grounds. It seemed normal to walk here, it seemed normal to kiss in the Romeo and Juliet hut. And to swim in the pool in my days, it doesn't seem like it's much swimmable anymore. It seems that it needs renovation. To drink coffee in the bees garden, to eat lunch in the dining hall, to sneak out on the rooftops and drink wine. Yet a few days ago, I was nonetheless trying to find a way out of coming here and doing this talk, because I was scared. I was worried that I wasn't the right person to come here and do this talk, that I haven't done enough, that I hadn't succeeded enough, that I didn't have enough wisdom to share here today. I've done a lot of things. A number of them were mentioned in the introduction here. I'm accompanied by a lot of amazing people in my role with the World Economic Forum and other roles I have. But I've also failed a number of times. And the first thing I want to talk to you about today is failure. One day in December of 2014, it was late in California. I was living in California back then. In Norway, it was early morning, and a friend called me and said, "Silje, prepare for a storm tomorrow. You're on the cover of the Financial Times." A few years earlier, I started a technology company that was developing mobile-based safety technologies. Be Safe was the most used personal safety application in the world. We received emails daily from users everywhere, a lot of them in developing countries where it was really, really important with this service, of how much BSAF meant to them, how we help them every day. We knew that we'd saved a number of lives. We knew that we had stopped rapes. We knew that we were helping 1 million people stay better connected and stay safer every day. We had great reviews, great press, a lot of the time, not this one. And we even had a celebrity investor involved, the Will Smith family. But we hadn't managed to make money. We were failing financially. We didn't manage to monetize the service, much like most of the apps out there. I mean, how many of the apps you have on your phones are you paying for? It's hard to make money on apps. I knew the trouble we were in very, very well. We had worked extremely hard. The last year before this event was rough. I'd even stepped down as CEO, appointing a corporate guy with a big track record, the biggest mistake in my life, to take my position. But I wasn't prepared for this storm coming that morning. And I was worried. So I purchased a PDF copy of the paper, and there was a big picture of me smiling on the cover of the paper with a massive, nice title saying flopping. It was surreal. I was shaking. My hands were sweating. I was crying. It felt awful, and I felt like a complete failure. And it got even worse when my board member called me and said, Silje, if you don't turn this ship around and turn this into a success, you're done in business and dead as an entrepreneur. The lives we had saved, the service we had built, pouring our hearts into, everything we'd done meant nothing at that point. It just felt dark. At that point, I was lucky to live in Silicon Valley, not Norway, to tell you the truth. The place where failures are celebrated and the can-do attitude is strong. I was extremely lucky to be part of the UWC community of people who believe that things can be done, and the YGL community. And in the YGL community, we use an app called Telegram, which is interesting for you as well. And it poured out my heart and said, listen, things are rough. Failing is hard. Failing is rough. And one of the investors, a well-known person, said that, Silje, I never invest in entrepreneurs who haven't failed at least once. I'm stating this to you as a hope that many of you will move into business and will become entrepreneurs and start your own ventures. And the reason she said that was simple. It was three reasons. The lessons you learn from failure are far more important than the lessons you learn from success. An entrepreneur who has failed, yet still gets back on the horse, shows some sort of a passion, a willingness to do stuff, is a person you can believe in to take things forward. And directly from her mouth, I don't want to work with assholes. When you have failed, you have a humbleness with you that carries on to your next projects. So class of 2016, failing hurts, but don't be afraid to fail. Don't let the fear of failure stop you. You will never succeed if you're not willing to risk failing. Failing is an important part of life in all areas. Can you name a world-class athlete that won his first race? It's part of trying. You try and you fail, and you try and you fail, and eventually make it. It's like Thomas Edison said when he invented the light bulb. I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. There's great value in failure because there is great learning in failure. Remember that, and also remember that there is a huge difference between failing and being a failure, even though your mind might mix up the two at times. I lived in Silicon Valley for 3 years. The melting pot of innovation, of technology companies, the can-do place in the world where everyone believes that everything is possible. In a small town called Palo Alto, the home of Stanford University, some of you might be going there, the home of Facebook, the home of Google, the home of many of the tech companies you know of, and many of the tech companies you will know of. It's an amazing place, but it's also a place that struggles with teen suicides. A number of teenagers every year kill themselves because they feel like failures or they're worried that they won't succeed. My kids were 6, 9, and 12 years old when we moved to Palo Alto. And while I saw the pressure of this place, an amazing place, but still a very high pressure society, I didn't think my kids saw it until one afternoon with a very specific episode. Every Thursday I would pick up my young son, my youngest one, from class and from school, and walk him to his acting class. And we walk and talk and eat ice cream and talk some more. And my youngest one, he's a philosopher, he's a thinker. He reads a lot, he studies a lot. He's a very intellectual mind and reads about everything. And as we were walking there, and he was rambling on about dinosaurs and space exploring and this town in Alaska that fascinates him because everything is connected underground and all sorts of other things. I told him, Alvin, promise me that you will always stay this curious. And Alvin went completely silent, which isn't normal for this boy, until he said, but Mom, the most important thing in life is to get into good college. He was 8. And yes, college is important. And you guys are well on your way, having graduated from one of the best high schools in the world. But, and I can't state this clearly enough, college is not the most important thing in life. It's not the most important thing in life. Even if your IB scores, like mine, weren't what you expect them to be or will not be what you expect them to be, it's not the most important thing in life. You'll do fine. So what is the most important thing in life? Yes. So what is the most important thing in life? When I was 20, I had the chance to ask Dalai Lama this question. I was, together with a friend from AC, I was organizing a 3-day conference in Queen Elizabeth Hall in London, and the Dalai Lama invited me and Jonathan to visit him at his house in Dharamsala in India. So we went there and we spent a full hour with him, talking to him, interviewing him, asking him all sorts of questions. And the final question we asked was, what is the most important thing in life? And the Dalai Lama just started laughing. And he was clapping his hands and laughing and smiling from ear to ear until he said, the most important thing in life is to be happy. But don't ask me how. But I ask you, all of you, and especially you students, to ask yourselves how you can be happy. Don't settle for less than happiness ever in your lives. Life is too short. And if you search deep inside yourselves, I think your heart will guide you to the right place. You might have expectations for yourself that are in conflict with what your heart is telling you to do. And you might feel expectations from people around you, parents, teachers, sponsors, siblings. But don't waste time living someone else's life. Find your way. 19 years ago, I was sitting where you're sitting now. We didn't have this family big gathering that you have now, but we had our own leavers dinner. And I had a rush of emotions. Joy for being done with my exams. Love for the people and the place. Excitement about my next steps. Sorrow for leaving. And fear for the unknown. It can be scary to graduate. I'm sure that a lot of you feel that right now. It's scary to leave this place. I couldn't believe that 2 years had passed so quickly and that it was time to move on. And I didn't really know where I was going. I had a place waiting for me at London School of Economics, but it didn't feel right. During my years here, a classmate and I had continuously organized a lot of projects. And Anita Roddick, the founder of Body Shop, I know an award in her name is given out afterwards. And the head of Amnesty International in the UK had continuously been supporting me and Jonathan in these ventures. And they asked us, what can you do to bring the UWC spirit to the world? And how can you share what you've learned here? And we all know the words of Kurt Hahn. How can there be peace if people don't understand each other? And how can they understand each other if they don't know each other? So Jonathan and I set out to share the UWC with the world. And we founded an NGO called World Voices. So over the next couple of years, we spent day and night developing 2 projects. A 3-day conference in Queen Elizabeth Hall in London, and a book written by young people from all over the world and world leaders together. A lot of people thought we were completely crazy doing this, including my parents, who thought I'd gone nuts. So how could 2 people, 19 at the time, book one of the biggest venues in the UK and the most expensive venues in the UK for 3 days, with expectations of bringing in Nobel laureates together with the grassroots activists from around the world? And how could we even think about in the days without internet? There was some sort of internet. We had one computer at this school back in '97, one computer with one email address that we all shared, okay? So how could we think about collecting all these writings and the stories from young people from all over the world? No, we didn't really think about that. We didn't pause to think, and we didn't think we couldn't do. And looking back, in many ways, it seems completely crazy. I think if I had waited for a few years to do this, to aim for like what everyone else thought was impossible, I think I probably would have thought it was impossible myself. And I would have stopped myself doing it because I've been taught in a different way or gone the normal path. But I came right from AC, where you think that everything is possible and the world is your playground, and you think that you can do anything and you can save the world. And it is possible. It is possible to change things. It's not easy. It's not fast. You may fail. I failed many times, not just this one time I told you about. It's not fast, and you can't do it alone, but it's definitely possible. And now, class of 2016, you're joining a family of graduates from the UWC movement. Many of them are also members of the World Economic Forum and the Young Global Shapers and the Young Global Leaders. You're joining a family of people who believe that change is possible. So reach out to us, join us in the mission we're on. I want to finish off by a few words of Steve Jobs that you all know. And these words were turned into a commercial that always lift me up whenever I'm feeling that I don't fit in. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is to ignore them because they change things. They push the human right forward. And while some see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. So class of 2016, go out and join the crazy ones. This place has shown you what the world can be like. Now go and change it. Thank you.